Well, for further reaction on the story, I'm joined by the President of the Truckers Association of South Africa, Phadi. Mary, good evening to you. Thanks for your time tonight. Quite concerning that we are seeing this violence and attacks against truck drivers, especially when we take into account what has happened over the last 3 years, where we've had attacks on various truck drivers, and often incidents of this nature are reminiscent of what happens right before we see a significant strike, protest in this industry. I wonder how you're reading it.
Look, Kathy, we are concerned as operators, and what is more frustrating is that these incidents, they normally come, when we are not aware as to when it will happen. So as operators, what concerns us most is that drivers are now starting to be scared to be on the road. It is concerning now to travel or to drive at night for our truck drivers. And, we are not quite sure because you can clearly see that this is a criminal activity that has happened there.
Mary, what do you understand the issues to be? And the reason I ask that question is that over the years, at least those that have been a part of the movements that have led the protests in the sector, their issues have been the same. They don't want the employment of foreign nationals who they say are often employed at lower rates, are being exploited, but are also given this job at the expense of South Africans. They also are fighting for better working conditions. Now, these have been the standing issues over the last 3 years, at the very least. Why is it that there doesn't seem to be clear resolution, despite the various interventions that we've had?
Let's look at the, matter that arose last week, where Minister Mzwaledi had lost a court case. It is very clear that some of the issues cannot be resolved immediately because of those issues. And those policies that the Department of Transport have in place will take time to be changed. And that is the reason why we are sitting with those issues. Because on the other hand, if you look at the bargaining council is able to protect any employee, including a foreign truck driver. And if you look at the government, on the other hand, they are saying that, we need to review the documents that we have. If you look at the Home Affairs, they are saying do not employ these truck drivers because it's not a scarce skill. So those issues, we thought maybe the task team will be able to resolve them quicker. But as we engage, as we talk from time to time, we realize that they are taking time, they are taking long, and people are getting to be frustrated out there. Hence, we are not quite sure now who is targeting trucks on the road. But what worries more is that if our government can maybe find us halfway to say any concerns that they hear on the ground, let's talk about it and try to resolve them. Even if we resolve one thing out of the 11-point plan, it could have been better, Katie.
Mary, the difficulty that we're facing as a country is that we have a crisis when it comes to rail network, and the problems at Transnet are well documented. That's driving a lot of the logistics sector onto road, using mainly trucks to transport the goods that have to leave the country, whether it's at Richards Bay or through Maputo. So the issue is that business right now, in order to try and circumvent the problem with rail, is moving more and more to road. When we see attacks of this nature, it exacerbates the problem.
Hence, we took an initiative as TASA to engage with the government, to say to the government, why don't you look at, expanding the issues that we have with rail, whereby we can be able to move 20% of the trucks from road to rail. And that matter is still at hand. It's a matter that is being discussed. But, Katie, here, we are sitting with the issue that we can be able to resolve, because amongst the 11-point plan, one of the things that is very clear is that truck drivers are complaining about the traffic register. And, while we engage on the issue of the rail, because rail is more of a private sector, and currently everything that is happening at Transnet, there's no one that is doing work outside Transnet in business. So it's something that will take longer. But if we can resolve matters that are sitting on the table now, we'll be able to find a solution, because that solution will make truck drivers to be comfortable while we try to resolve another matter of the rail. Currently we are sitting with...
Yeah. Go ahead. Apologies.
Currently we are sitting with two situations. There's a rail matter on the other hand, and parallel to that, there's the issue of hiring of foreign truck drivers. And I don't see a reason why are we protecting something that is illegal as per the Department of Home Affairs, because we are not saying that we don't want foreign truck drivers. What we are saying is that let's tomorrow find a government that will stand up and say, let's stop hiring the foreign truck drivers, because in any country in the SADC region, you don't find that. And we are engaging with associations in other countries. We are talking to them. We had a long meeting with them last week, where we were trying to make them to understand that this conflict is not about, it's not xenophobic, but it's an issue of resolving matters that we have in South Africa. So it is something that we can resolve, because they understand the situation, and they are also not hiring South African truck drivers in their own countries. So, Katie, as soon as our government does something in one of the things, we will not be getting surprises, because at the moment, we are not quite sure who has spent those trucks. We are not sure whether it's a community unrest, nobody's showing up. We are not sure whether it's just people that are unhappy about the hiring of the truck drivers. We are not sure about that. We are not sure about anything. We are just speculating as to what is it that is happening. But we must be proactive on current issues that we have.
Mary, my understanding is that there are truck drivers who are not South African nationals who could well make an argument about the skill that they provide being a scarce skill, especially depending on the kind of qualification that they have, because my understanding is that not all truck drivers are graded the same. The issue is that you have companies that are hiring workers that don't have the requisite documentation to be in the country, and therefore are hiring these people illegally so. And they are part of the problem. These organizations that are hiring these individuals that at the end of the day sometimes cannot even be tracked down, at least on paper, because their presence even in the country is not as registered as it should be.
Unfortunately, Katie, it's not like that. There is no documentation that is giving any operators powers to hire a foreign truck driver. I'll give a reason why. When on the list of the scarce skill, and there's no skill requirement there, then it means that you need to apply to the Department of Home Affairs and prove to them that, or the Department of Labor, and prove to them that you could not find anyone in South Africa who cannot be a driver. So therefore you're requesting them to give an exemption for you to hire that person. So there's no document that says you should hire foreign drivers, whether they've got documents or not. Because at the end of the day, if you have a passport, it means that you don't qualify to be employed in South Africa because your home is not here.
It's a serious problem that the industry is facing, and unfortunate to hear that the task team that, of course, brings all of the various stakeholders together, government, the employers, and including the associations that represent the truck drivers, it's unfortunate to hear that that task team has not had the progress that was desired when it was set up. Of course, in the meantime, we see threats to truck drivers, we see threats to that infrastructure, and of course it is a significant threat to our economy. We'll leave it there on this particular story for tonight.